Okay, let's get into this. You might think with drones becoming so common, that's the whole future of air warfare, right? Uncrewed stuff. But what if fighter jets aren't just sticking around, but are actually evolving in some, well, pretty radical ways? We're talking a huge leap forward. Today, we're doing a deep dive into this fascinating world of sixth-generation fighter jets. We've gone through a bunch of articles, pulled out the key research just to give you the essentials. Our mission here, pretty clear. Demystify what really makes these jets next-gen, unpack these, frankly, mind-bending capabilities, and look at the global race to build them. Think of this as your shortcut to getting up to speed on this really cutting-edge tech.
Yeah, and it's important to say right off the bat, there isn't really a standard checklist yet for what counts as 6th-gen.
Yeah.
But the general agreement is that we're looking at a truly massive technological jump, much bigger than just the next step up from current 5th-gen jets like the F-22, the F-35. It's a whole new way of thinking about air combat.
A massive jump. Okay, so where does that start? I was reading that a really fundamental part of it is the design philosophy, especially thinking about where they'll operate. Like 5th-gen jets were built with, the shorter ranges in Europe in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But these new ones are being designed for the vast expanses of the Pacific. How does that change what they need to do?
That's exactly it. That shift in geography, it changes, well, almost everything. It means they need significantly more speed, they need to fly higher than current jets, and crucially, they need way more range. You need to be able to penetrate deep into heavily defended airspace, operate effectively over huge distances. It's a different game.
And what will they look like? Because my understanding is they won't really resemble the jets we see today.
No, you're right. Expect something incredibly sleek. Tailless designs, pushing stealth even further than what we have now. Renderings, for instance, of America's 6th-gen, the F-47,
Yeah.
They show this kind of blend. Part flying wing, like the B-2 bomber, where the whole aircraft is basically one wing, but merged with modern fighter design elements.
Yeah.
And that stealth focus, it's boosted hugely. It's not just about radar anymore, but also hiding the heat signature from infrared sensors. Big deal.
Okay, one of the things that sounds really radical design-wise is getting rid of the tail. It seems like it would make a fighter less agile, not more. Why do that? And how does it even fly?
It is radical, but the payoff is potentially huge. Removing the tail, first off, it dramatically slashes the radar signature, especially from the side and rear, across lots of different frequencies. It makes it much harder to spot. Plus, it cuts down aerodynamic drag, which helps with high-speed performance. And it actually frees up internal space. More room for fuel, for weapons, better range, bigger payload.
Okay, but the stability problem.
Right. That's the critical challenge. Taking the tail off makes it inherently unstable. So you absolutely need incredibly smart computers, really advanced fly-by-wire flight controls, basically electronic commands doing the work instead of old mechanical links, and probably thrust vectoring engines too. Engines where the nozzle can actually direct the thrust to help with maneuvering, to maintain agility.
So the outside is radical with the tailless design. I'm guessing the real revolutions may be happening inside the jet then. What's going on under the hood, so to speak?
Absolutely. You should think of them almost as flying data hubs. They'll be packed with advanced sensors looking everywhere, front, sides, back across multiple frequencies. But the real magic is fusing all that data together, giving the pilot just unprecedented situational awareness.
Like seeing everything all at once.
Pretty much. Imagine knowing everything happening on the battlefield around you from every angle, constantly updated, and powering all this. Could be a revolutionary new kind of engine, an adaptive engine, one that can actually shift its configuration in flight, optimize for maximum thrust when you need speed, or switch for better fuel economy when you need endurance.
And something I found really surprising strategically was that apparently old school dogfighting, close-in maneuverability, it's just not a priority anymore. The focus is all on dominating from a distance. What does that actually mean for air combat, for the pilots?
Yeah, that's a profound shift. It's not just about having longer range missiles, though that's part of it. It fundamentally changes the game. Instead of focusing on tight turns and close quarters fights, the pilot becomes more of a strategic operator, orchestrating things from miles away. They'll rely massively on that fused sensor data, the network, to find and engage targets long before anyone gets within visual range. It's less fighter pilot in the classic sense, maybe more. Battle manager or network node operator. Information dominance is key. Long-range engagement.
Wow. It's hard to even picture that sometimes. But maybe the most groundbreaking idea is that these 6th-gen fighters won't fly alone. What's that about?
That's right. This is maybe the core concept, really changing things. We're talking about AI-piloted drone wingmen. The U.S. Air Force calls them collaborative combat aircraft, or CCAs. This is where air combat moves beyond just single piloted jets.
So, like, the main jet is the quarterback, maybe, and it's directing this whole team of autonomous drones around. Is that a fair way to think about it?
That's a great analogy, actually, yes. Unofficially, people call it a family of systems approach, and it's set to completely transform air combat. These CCAs, these drones, they'll do the high-risk jobs, maybe carrying out strikes deep in enemy territory, jamming radars, scouting ahead for threats, going places you wouldn't want to send a human pilot.
Because they're expendable.
More expendable, certainly.
Yeah.
The basic idea is use these relatively cheaper, uncrewed aircrafts for the dangerous stuff. They could even create diversions, all to make sure that the incredibly expensive crewed fighter, the quarterback, survives to fight another day. They give you way more flexibility, much more combat power from that single piloted platform.
This really does sound like science fiction becoming reality, and it obviously sets things up for a pretty intense global race for air superiority. So who are the main players here? Who's developing these things?
Well, the United States is definitely well on its way. They actually secretly flew a full-scale 6th-gen prototype way back in 2020. Their main program is called Next Generation Air Dominance, NGAD. That's developing the F-47 we mentioned. And the latest Pentagon budget asks for, $3.5 billion just for its development. So serious investment.
Okay, the U.S. is pushing hard. What about elsewhere?
Well, over in Europe, there's a multinational effort, the Global Combat Air Program, sometimes called Tempest, that involves the UK, Italy, Japan now too. They expect to have a demonstrator aircraft flying by 2027.
And Russia.
China. Russia's in the next too, with their Mikoyan Pak DP project, often called the MiG-41. Moscow's made some very ambitious claims for it, things like Mach 4 speed, flying at near space altitudes, even carrying anti-missile lasers. They're targeting a first flight around 2025.
Mach 4 by 2025. That sounds ambitious, like you said. Is that realistic?
That's the big question. There's quite a bit of skepticism about those claims and timelines, especially when you look at the delays they've had just mass producing their 5th-gen jet, the Su-57. So we'll see. And China, absolutely a major player. Their company Chengdu is working on a fighter apparently called the J-36. There were even reports, photos maybe of it testing back in April. So they're making rapid progress too. It's definitely a global race.
So wrapping this up then, what this deep dive really shows us is how the whole idea of air combat is shifting. Unbelievable stealth, fusing vast amounts of data, and this game-changing idea of AI drone wingmen. Hopefully you've now got a much clearer picture of what's coming next for air power. And maybe just one final thought to leave you with. If we're moving towards this family of systems where AI drones take the biggest risks and the main fighter focuses on commanding the battle from afar, what does that really mean for the human pilot? What's their ultimate future role in air combat going to look like? Something to think about.